you by Modelo. The Sixers won by 20 points over the Heat last night, taking Game 3. Joel Embiid came back after missing the first 2 games. He had 18 points, and his defense was the key in the win, holding the Heat to 4 of 17 shooting as the primary defender. And so we have a tendency to overreact to everything that we see. This one was completely over. Now all of a sudden the Sixers are back in it. Are they going to mess around here, Jalen Rose, and win this series?
I don't believe so, so I'll say no, because anytime you drop the first 2, I don't believe you're going to take 4 of the next 5. But what I will do is applaud Joel Embiid, because a lot of times a player in his situation doesn't necessarily have to come back to play. After a concussion, after having to wear a mask with an eye injury, dealing with a thumb injury, he had everything to lose. He could have played bad, they could have lost, and they could have been on their way to get it swept. Instead, he was their anchor. And by the way, defensively, not necessarily offensively, forget the stats, but I liked how he silenced Bam Adebayo. See, Bam was averaging 24 and having his way against the Sixers before Joel got back. 9 points, Stephen A., 3 rebounds, and 3 turnovers for Bam.
Stephen A., I know you want nothing in the world more than to be in South Beach next week. Yeah. But are the Sixers going to foil those plans?
No. But I will say this. Here's why. Because they do have a chance to do it. But think about all the ducks that have to fall in a row, okay? You got to have Joel Embiid continuously out there. You got to have Tobias Harris making a contribution. You got to have Tyrese Maxey doing what he did in the second half, not the first half, Game 3, when he dropped 21. Why do I say that? Because James Harden ain't doing it. Right now, James Harden took 11 shots yesterday. 11 shots. That ain't gonna get it done. The fact of the matter is that they're in a situation right now where the guy that they traded for to rely upon to be that second star has not played like a star. I'm rooting for him. I don't want him to fail, but damn, we gotta call it like we see it. He is not looking anything like the star they traded for him to be. And to me, that is what is going to take in order to beat Miami, unless those other 3 parts do it for him.
How about it, Wilbon?
Stephen A., you're right about Harden in your assessment. But the good news here to me for the Sixers is they discovered yesterday they don't need James Harden to be 2018 James Harden in order to really pull even in this series. I believe the Sixers, I'm not going to say I'm ready to pick them to win the series, but I think they'll climb back in this. I think they can even it up. They have to get performances from unlikely sources. Danny Green, is he going to produce that many points again necessarily in Game 4? Probably not. But Tyrese Maxey is not going to have that empty of first half. I think the good news is Embiid's going to be better. All right, they don't need Harden to be great, and they're going to even this series at 2, and then we're going to have a real series on our hands.
And company in San Francisco tonight.
Well, just like I talked about the challenge facing Milwaukee being greater than their first-round victim, the Bulls, I mean, the challenge facing Memphis is much greater than their first-round victim, Minnesota, which did challenge Memphis to a degree. So they're not going to be coming back if they get down 23 or 26 points. We're not seeing any of that against Golden State. And they're going against a proven champion. Guys who have worn that championship belt, who can claim they still wear it because nobody's beating them in the ring healthy. So they're facing an entirely different challenge to go in the Chase Center and sort of try to establish something. Some of that silly fouling and lackadaisical play and falling behind and bad shot selection and weird stuff that goes on in the last 5 minutes of each half. Memphis can't have that. Not if they're going to get the theft of 1 game in San Francisco. So we'll see if they're up to that. But what's that learning curve going to produce from that first series plus 2 games so far from Memphis?
Well, I've overcome the first challenge because I got over the fact that I had courtside seats to tonight's game, and I can't make it because I had to be here in cold, rainy New York City. So now that I got beyond that point and I missed out on being in attendance for this game, let me tell you something right now. Even though Memphis has a challenge, even though they have a challenge, especially with Desmond Bane doing virtually nothing. I mean, there's an APB. I gave an APB out for Spencer Dinwiddie the other night. It's only fair that I put one out for Desmond Bane. Where the hell are you? Averages 7 points, not shooting anything from the field. We expected a hell of a lot more from Desmond Bane, who Ja Morant thought should have been the comeback player of the year. And a lot of us gave him a vote, by the way, because he is a special player. But he ain't playing like that in this series thus far. But I'm going to tell you who I'm putting out the biggest APB out for, which is why the challenge may not be as immense as we think. If Klay Thompson doesn't show up, that does not help the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson, I want everybody to put your hand on your chest. Like Fred Sanford to Elizabeth are coming home to join you, honey. Think about this. Jordan Poole and Steph Curry are averaging 25.5 points a game. Klay Thompson's at 13.5 points. Klay Thompson is shooting 29% from the field and 22% from three-point range. This is one of the greatest shooters in the history of basketball, a three-time champion that can't find the basket. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it needs to be fixed.
And I know how much you love picking the Warriors to win it, Stephen.
Yes.
You're exactly right about what you said about Klay, but I'm going to talk about the other side of the ball. A sentence that we never thought we'd say starting this year. Without Gary Payton II, the Warriors had no chance to guard Ja Morant. And usually that used to be Klay. And defensively, after dealing with those injuries these last couple of years, his wheels just isn't the same defensively. So now he's not able to knock down shots offensively because they're making it work on that side.
May I say something crazy to Mike Wilbon and Jalen Rose, my brothers? I got to say it. I might be far-fetched here. Let me see Wilbon on that screen. I take my chances and put Jonathan Kuminga on Ja Morant. I take my chances.
I'm with you.
Listen, hey, he's got to learn a lot, but this dude plays defense. He's got size, he's got length, he's got athleticism. Maybe that's what you need to sort of neutralize Ja, who's averaging 40.
So Ja's shooting 100% against Poole, 3 for 3, 6 for 10 against Klay, 60%. He struggled 7 or 20 or something against Wiggins. I think Wiggins is going to actually be the guy. And as we talk about the Golden State Warriors, but to start the game, but as we talk about the Warriors, people forget Andrew Wiggins started in the All-Star game this season.
Yeah.
Like this season.
Look, man, he made us forget that.
Wiggins and Kuminga. Those two guys are critical.
Go ahead, Will.
Michael, go.
Critical for Golden State. Wiggins and Kuminga, they're both right.
Yep,
those guys, look, why did Golden State get off to that great start without Klay? Yes, Steph Curry was the MVP of those first 6-8 weeks, whatever it was. But Wiggins and Kuminga and Poole were the ones, Kuminga third in that list, that were critical to that start. They're going to have to come back and pitch in like they did in, say, November, December.
Kuminga's 19 years old. Who knows how much we'll see of him tonight against the young superstar.
On Klay.
Within 15 shots in consecutive games for the first time in his career. And that defense that Boston plays, plus the three-point shooting, that's how they won Game 2. They made 23s on Tuesday night, the most in any playoff game in franchise postseason history. And so, as we get ready for this Game 3, Stephen A. Smith and Michael Wilbon joins us. But Stephen A., I start with you. This one has long series written all over it.
Yeah.
What is ultimately going to decide it?
Who's making shots? And I'm not talking about the two teams. I'm talking about three specific individuals. You are Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. You're shooting both of them identical, 47.4% from three-point range in this series, although Jason Tatum is shooting 42% from the field, while Jaylen Brown is shooting 48% from the field. In the case of Giannis, you're averaging, like 26, 11, and 9. But he is shooting 38.5%. Giannis, who shoots religiously over 50% because he's usually dunking on people. He is shooting 38.5% from the field, 60% from three-point range, and 55% from the free throw line. I don't care what anybody else does for you. If Giannis shows up,